Toxins and toxicants make their way into foods from many sources. Lead makes its way into chocolate via air polluted by leaded gasoline. Arsenic can make its way into the food supply via contaminated groundwater and uptake by plants like rice. As we learned in the bioaccumulation video, PCBs make their way into the fish that live in Lake Crabtree via industrial contamination and bioaccumulation. While it is certain that food producers and processors should make every effort to prevent the appearance of these toxic chemicals in foods, an entirely different set of necessary chemical compounds come into contact with foods every day. These imaginatively named food contact materials include cleaning agents, industrial lubricants, and food packaging. As anyone who has accidentally burned food onto a pot or pan in the kitchen knows, cleaning requires significant time and effort. Proper cleaning of surfaces is necessary to prevent residue or soil accumulation, microbial biofilm formation, and most importantly, foodborne illness. The question is, how much of these cleaning agents make their way into our foods, and is that level acutely or chronically harmful? First, let's consider the types of cleaning agents used in foods. Strong acids, chelators, strong alkalis, chlorinated alkalis, enzymes, and solvents. Strong acids and chelators are often used to remove mineral deposits that can clog pipes. Acids are also effective against rust and metal oxides. Alkalis and enzymes are used to remove carbohydrate, protein, or lipid residues, while chlorinated alkalis are used against very stubborn protein soils. Solvents are used to remove food-grade industrial lubricants from machinery. Hazards associated with caustics, like acids and bases, include chemical burns, and in the case of acids, the dissolution of high levels of minerals into water. Chlorinated alkalis, like bleach, can damage the digestive tract by reacting with proteins. Since enzymes are proteins, their presence in food presents an unlikely but possible allergenic hazard. Industrial cleaning solvents may have a variety of toxic effects depending on whether they remain in the gut or are absorbed into the bloodstream. Let's keep in mind that hazard is simply the possibility of harm, while risk is the likelihood of harm. So, how much of these essential but potentially harmful cleaning agents actually make their way into foods? The use of cleaning agents is typically followed by multiple freshwater rinses, so it is unlikely that they would be found in foods unless proper rinse procedures were not being followed. When we think of packaging, one of the most frequently cited concerns is BPA, or bisphenol A. Bisphenol A and phthalates are used to create flexible plastics. The concern over bisphenol A and similar compounds is that they mimic hormones like estrogen, and that even at very low concentrations they may alter hormonal balance. Compounds like BPA, phthalates, and organophosphate pesticides may affect hormonal balance and are referred to collectively as endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are of concern because they have implications for development, for fertility, and chronic disease, such as diabetes. These adverse health effects may even be passed on to the next generation. One BPA-free option is glass containers. While used less frequently in the US than plastic bottles, glass bottles are the containers of choice in many areas of the world because these bottles can be used over and over again. Blue, green, and brown bottles, as well as brightly colored labels etched onto their surfaces, are results of metal-based pigments such as cobalt, chromium, and iron. When these bottles are cleaned with alkali before reuse, small amounts of glass are literally liquefied, meaning that the metals on the outside of those bottles may make their way inside the bottles in small quantities. Some cleaning agent residues and package-related chemicals will inevitably make their way into our food supply. Food contact materials are evaluated based on their chemical structures and the levels typically found in foods on a daily basis. For materials where exposure may exceed 3,000 micrograms per person per day, a 2-year chronic study involving multiple generations of rodent test animals are required in the US. Lower levels of exposure require either subchronic or in vitro studies. Substances present at levels below 1/2 part per billion are typically exempted from testing. The European Union has analogous safety testing procedures. What are our options? Food production without cleaning, high-speed metal machinery without lubricants, complete elimination of packaging? None of these are viable options, so it is necessary to prevent exposure to the greatest degree possible, to monitor the food supply for evidence of harmful levels of cleaners, lubricants, or packaging materials, and to create innovative solutions such as edible food-based films and packaging. As with all the other topics discussed this semester, we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg by considering cleaning chemicals and packaging as food contact materials. Food contact materials include every surface a food touches, every plastic or cardboard box, every conveyor belt, every pipe, and all the contaminants and breakdown products of all those contact materials. The real risk associated with these materials relates to the mixtures of these compounds, not just single substances. As with many areas of toxicology, we are just beginning to understand the effects of food contact materials on health.